Of these bills, deadlines, the daily grind. Is this all there is to life? I want some magic.
Well then grab your magic wands. Because today we're diving into the enchanting world of fantasy.
Tragedy had struck the animal kingdom. The lioness, known for her bad breath, had kicked the bucket.
That darn stag. How dare he smile at our queen's funeral?
Yes, I too saw that.
What smile?
That stag, whose family was gifted death by our queen, was smiling at her corpse.
Yes, I smiled.
Wow, a daring boy before its death.
Your Majesty, I smiled because I had a chat with the great queen. She was in the bed of roses in heaven. I instantly recognized her. She said she is having blast in her afterlife with great Wi-Fi.
Did she say anything about my new main extensions?
Oh yeah, huge fan. She said they make you look 10 years younger. Well, maybe not 10, but definitely 8 years. 7. Okay, 6 months.
The stag, instead of being punished, received a handsome gift.
Life is so harsh and distressing that no one wants to accept the painful truth. They want something magical, something out of the world. They want to live in the world of fantasy in order to decrease their pain, which they got from their real life. And anyone who can conjure up such fantasy are like oasis in desert. Everyone flocks to them. And in this story, that stag did the same. He built up fantasies in Lion's mind, and Lion too wanted to believe in it as it decreased his pain.
So lying is power?
Not exactly. It's more like playing with people's emotional harp. You just have to find that sweet spot.
But that's just a fake fable. How do we know it really works in real world too?
Good question. And its good answer is in history.
In 16th century, Venice, once a shimmering city of wealth, was now a shadow of its former self. The citizens out there were as depressed as a deflated balloon. And in the midst of their woes, a ray of hope emerged.
He turns dirt into gold.
A gold-making dude. Then he can prosper our city again.
They then quickly sent him an official invitation to get him in their team. And to get the invitation accepted, they offered mountain of money to make his life luxurious. After his acceptance, everyone buzzed with excitement, as like a kid in candy store, dreaming of all the gold dude will bring. Gifts were continuously pouring on him for hours, for days, and even for months. Still, he gave no sign of miracle, and Venetians were like, "Dude, where's our gold?"
Relax. Patience is a virtue. I have already deposited that secret substance in City's mint. If left alone for 7 years, the substance would multiply the gold 30 times over.
7 more years of this man living royally at the public trough?
We need proof that it is working.
Fine, you lack faith in me. So you lose my services.
And he left the town.
People don't want slow and painful process of progress. They want a magical genie to grant their wishes. So Bragadino did what people wanted. He became the source of pleasure for them. He didn't use vulgar demonstration to convince people. All he did is promised a sudden change from rags to riches and gained followers. His sumptuous palace and opulent garments did the rest of his work to convince people of his gold-making power. So don't be distracted by people's glamorous portraits of themselves. Instead, search for what really imprisons them. Search for what they fantasize. Once you find that, you have that magical wand. And most of powerful people in past had used this wand. For example, in 16th century, German quack Leonhard Thurneisser became court physician without ever studying medicine.
A physician, without studying medicine? How?
Instead of offering amputations, leeches and foul-tasting purgatives, he offered them sweet-tasting elixirs and promised them instant recovery. Who could resist such a fantasy? And if you too want to play with people's fantasies, then offer something unusual, as like Mata Hari did to rise in public prominence.
Why all liked her? She only had ordinary looks.
Because her power came from being strange and exotic. The taboo she worked with was less sex itself than breaking social codes. But don't always imagine that fantasy is out of the world. Sometimes reality is so theatrical that fantasy becomes a desire of something simple. For example, the image of Abraham Lincoln with a beard made him common man's president. For the next point to care, fantasy can never operate alone. It requires the backdrop of humdrum and mundane. In Venice, the reality was decline and loss of prestige, which created a fantasy of instant growth, and that allowed Bragadino to work his magic. And for the final point, keep them at distance. Let your victim come close enough to see and be tempted, but keep them far away enough so that they stay dreaming. For example, when Bragadino arrived at a moment of producing gold, he then increased the distance of time for 7 years.
So it's like teasing your victim with a chocolate cake, but never letting them take a bite.
Exactly. Keep them dreaming. So, that's the law of fantasy. Now go forth and use your knowledge to make the world fantastical.
And as soon as you subscribe us, you will get a pile of gold in your lap, right now.